Sorry about this. Just wanted to make sure my sound is where it should be. Yes, it is. But we don't need to see the mic, do we? Or do we? Okay, that's good enough. All right, so tonight is a little bit different than what we've been doing in the past. And I think it's going to be a fun little excursion. So, for the last few streams, I've been planning this troll incursion party. We're playing Tyranny of Dragons. Spoilers for folks who plan to play as player characters in Tyranny of Dragons. There will be spoilers peppered through this stream about that campaign. If DMs for the campaign are welcome, both people who are planning to run it and people who have run it in the past. And as I say in pretty much every stream, this is one of the hated early modules released by Wizards of the Coast when D&D 5th edition was first released. But I like it because it takes you up and down and all over the Sword Coast, and it gives you opportunities to go all sorts of other places. And that sort of globe hopping sort of a thing and is what attracted me to it. And so the railroading elements and the some of the more poorly fleshed out missions will be heavily modified. And today, I think, is a perfect example of some of these heavy modifications because we're doing chapter 4, which is called On the Road. So basically, the players' party are in this wagon caravan. They're following the cult of the dragon, who has about 5 wagons, quote unquote, secretly filled with gold that they've been stealing throughout the land. The big question is, what is the gold for? And where's it going? And so the players have been embedded into this larger caravan that includes the cult wagons and unrelated wagons, banding together for safety on this very dangerous road up from Baldur's Gate to Waterdeep and perhaps beyond. So what I've been trying to do is create situations on this travel north that will create a relationship between the players and the cultists that they're following. Now, do the players need to be friendly with these people? No. Can this work without friendship or infiltrating or those sorts of things? Absolutely, it could. In fact, the cult could despise the players and it still would work out fine. But I want to get the players in a position where they're sort of sitting around the campfire talking to cult members, sort of relaxed, right? So everyone, and the cult folks have been standoffish, right, because of what they're doing, right, and the amount of gold that they have, and they're out in the open like everybody else. So the encounter I ran last week, one of the cultist wagons broke down. Goblins and trolls seized on this to attack the caravan, and the players ended up helping some of the cultists deal with their troll problem, and several of the cultists were killed by these trolls. So that was designed to maybe giving in. These cultists who were like, get the F away from us, stay away, you've been warned, now are somewhat in debt to the party. And so I wouldn't say they trust them, but they appreciate not being dead, and they appreciate the help. So what would the cultists do then? Well, the cultists are they're recruiters, right? They like to recruit new members. And so we have now these folks that could handle themselves pretty well. Maybe, there might be more incursions of who knows what on this very, very long trek from Baldur's Gate to Waterdeep, hundreds of miles, slow going in these wagons through these dangerous places. So I wanted to give another shot to sort of move the ball further down the playing field. And I wanted basically the cult to say, hey, you guys are cool. Thank you for this. Da, 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 da. If you really want to, us to put a good word in with our boss, Resmir, and Talis the White, who are both still in the caravan, but they're about to leave, unbeknownst to the characters. But they're like, if you really want us to vouch for you, we have something we want you to do one night while the caravan is, resting, sleeping, blah, blah, blah. We have this little side mission for you to do that would prove to us that you are indeed cult member material. And so what is that mission? Okay. So I have now, when I, and again, my name is First Time DM, just as my name implies, this is the first time I've ever run a D&D campaign. I've run some one-shots. I've been playing the game for about 3 years, maybe a little bit more than that. And so I'm just on, I think, session 16 of Cult of the Dragon. So this is not me telling you how to run your D&D game or telling you the best way to run your D&D game. This is coming from I would say, somewhat experienced player transitioning into a DM and seeing what sort of hijinks we can have. And I want to plan the missions or plan what I'm going to do here. And sometimes it's working on a mini, like I was doing this guy basically off camera. Blog Oathcast, who comes in much later in the campaign, but I think he's almost done. I'm making him sort of on a cloud base because he's a cloud giant. But I'm pretty happy with how he's coming. Anyway, so now the moving the ball down the field is a mission. What is the mission? Well, you can see it right here. This is a handout or a poster I've been putting up in our play area. I play with 5 or 6 players, and I put sort of posters up in the game room that we play in to give the players a sense of what's going on in the larger world. And so they've just started recently seeing this poster now. Wanted, the Swift family. Okay, here's the Swift family. Traitorous, bestial, and malignant family. Be a friend to the dragon. So again, my dragon cult is much more, they're recruiting a lot of the peasantry, lower classes. A lot of the rhetoric is anti-nobility, anti-lords, anti-establishment, saying that they have not provided for you, that this deck is stacked against most people, that they're using you, and that they're violating the very laws that they mandate the normal people to follow. All of which is somewhat true, but the cults basically are saying, we should get rid of them and allow the leadership of chromatic dragons to rule the world. Which is also, a big sell. So there you go. I don't want to get too deep into that, but they use things like this to ingratiate. And a lot of these posters that I have here, there's some magic and illusion enchantments that are manipulating the people who read them. And there's some other magic at hand that the recruiting efforts are not above board, that there's a lot of intoxication, enchantments, things to grow their numbers. But here we have be a friend of the dragon. This is a phrase that the players have seen before. And basically, let's say, find a local cultist. If you know where these people are, this family, and, the cult will do who knows what. Now, the interesting thing about this, in the when the first area of the game starts in a little town in the south of the Sword Coast called Greenest. Oh, excuse me, pardon me. Long day. And so the very first people that the party saves are this family, this sort of ragtag family that's somewhat injured, crossing the street being chased by kobolds. And so what I do with my NPCs is I generally create one of these. A cardboard disc, basically, and on white paper, and I write the backgrounds of whoever's on here. And usually these are just, a individual on here. This one happens to be the Swift family. So Koth Swift, Linan Swift, Neblin Swift, Gala, girl, boy, whatever. So, and you could write all sorts of, what do they sound like, what type of affect, those sorts of things. Any sort of key points that you as dungeon master might want to remember when doing this. And I have like a little holder, a magnetic holder, where I hold this up and I'm like, hey, I'm talking on the these are the NPCs that are talking. So they get voices, they get names, and they also get a visage that sort of, it's, I've seen some people that would just like put pictures of their NPCs, on the Dungeon Master screen or something like that. And that's a fine way to do it too. But I found sort of switching these in and out, and I have like a little holder that I could sort of, almost a puppeteering sort of a thing. But it also gives you the visual understanding of who these people are, right? And so now, weeks later now, this is the first family they saved. And now they're seeing it on a wanted poster. Like, the first people we saved are wanted by the cult. The reward. So this is sort of sets it up. So basically what I want to create is caravan has stopped for the evening. After the troll attack, there will be some sort of conversation between the cultists and the party. Thank you. Bah, 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 bah. And they'll basically say, we're always looking for new members. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Right. And again, this is part of the mission of the players, is to ingratiate themselves and get as deep into the cult as they possibly can to see where the gold's going and what they're going to be doing with the gold, because that's all they know. So the cultists will say, if you want to join the cult, bring us the heads of the Swift family. Now, again, these are the first people that the party saved, right? they are not, and they're heroes, right? Everybody. We had one character that was playing evil, but she had a whole conversion. We went to Mount Celestia. She bathed in the waters of forgiveness, that type of thing. The players aren't going to want to kill this poor family. So they may just say, no, get out of it. Or perhaps they'll tell the cultists, sure, we'll kill them. Yeah, we'll go hunt them down and murder them for you. And then they might go to the family and say, hey, the cult's on to you. Give us some sort of evidence that we have killed you, and, run off into the woods. Or, maybe it'll be the cultists and the party. Maybe they'll work in concert and sort of go out into the woods and try to, because they know where they are and they're very close and we could get to them tonight. So there's a lot of different ways it can go down. But in very few of them, or if any, will my players be willing to kill this family that they've already saved once. I mean, I think that they will pal around with these cultists in an attempt to win favor with the cultists while protecting the family. So, they'll meet in a campsite. The cultists will say they're here on the map and in a cabin. Okay. And so, unless they don't take the thread, which, then we'll have to do something completely different. Now, here's the twist. This is the same family that they saved. I re-AI'd them a little bit to make them a little less wacky, so they look a little better here. But the fact is that this family is not a family at all. It's a group, and they're not even human. They're doppelgangers. And so they're doppelgangers that were working in concert with the cult to do terrible things. So, which will be the twist, right? At some point, the players will realize that now, according to the book, medium monstrosity neutral. Doppelgangers aren't necessarily evil, but these are. And they're doing some terrible things. Now, I had planned this all out, and I had written, I at least had thought it all out and come up with it all in my mind. But when I looked through all my notes, I can't find it. So I sort of remember what I want to do, but, the devil is in the details sometimes. So this is my Dungeon Master journal. So I have another book that I use on Friday nights when we play to take notes. I take records of all the fights and the battles and the HP and all that type of stuff. And I also do a summary of what happened during that play session. This is sort of my world building book where I write down ideas of, like, oh, here's a night raid. Oh, the night raid. This is it. Okay, this was the doppelganger thing, was the night raid. Aha, I found the notes. Doppelgangers. Okay, great. So I knew I had a big plan, and I thought I had written it down, so here it is. So, okay. So, write stuff down, folks, because you'll forget. So, why don't we first... And again, I could change. It's all in pencil. I can change it. So, why don't we go through... So, this... Coming after the Swift family. They're not too far from the caravan. They're in some sort of a cabin, but they're all doppelgangers. Actually, I am thinking that one might not be a doppelganger. I think... hold on. monsters of... We might use this as well because there might be a creature that's working with the doppelgangers, 198. And I really wanted to use this creature for a while. 190. Here it is. Now we got the Oblex. Okay. So let's first look at what the Oblex is, and then we'll get back to the plan. Let's see. Oblexes. By experimenting on the slimes, jellies, and puddings that infest the depths of the Underdark, mind flayers created a special breed of ooze. And I actually have a mind flayer subplot that really hasn't come out yet, so this might be a nice breadcrumb for that sort of alternate world-changing event. The Oblex is slime capable of assaulting the minds of other creatures. These pools of jelly are cunning hunters that feed on the thoughts and memories. Again, you can see sort of the tie to the doppelganger, which I might read later. The sharper the mind, the better the meal. So Oblexes hunt targets more likely to be intelligent, such as wizards and other spellcasters. When suitable fare comes within reach, an Oblex draws its body up to engulf its victim. As it withdraws, it plunders the creature's mind, leaving its prey befuddled and confused or dead. When Oblexes feed on thoughts, they can form weird copies of their prey to use as lures, which helps them harvest even more victims for their mind flayers. Okay. These guys are working. This Oblex is like the boss of the doppelganger. Let's see. We got intelligence. It's 14 versus intelligence 11 for the doppelganger. So there you go. And charisma is not great. 10. Charisma on the doppelganger is 4. So we'll see. Adult and elder Oblexes. Older Oblexes, called adults and elders, have eaten so many memories that they can form duplicates of the creatures they have devoured from the substance of their bodies, sending these copies off to lure prey into their clutches, while remaining tethered to the slime by long tendrils of goo. These duplicated creatures are indistinguishable from their victims, except for a faint sulfurous smell. Oblexes use these duplicates to lead prey into danger or to infiltrate settlements so they can feed on superior victims. So let's see. The adult Oblex is a challenge 5, and this guy is challenge 10. The doppelganger CR are 3. So I think I'm going to go with the adult. Or should I go through the... Let's see, how many hit points does this sucker have? 115 versus 75. I don't know. Let's look at the Elder Oblex, because I tell you, on paper, I threw a party of 5 last week, 3 trolls and 8 goblins. I downed 1 player to 0 HP, which is sort of what I was hoping for. I wanted to have some stakes. They're all level 5. Oh, let's see. Armor class 16. Okay, not unhittable. Tough, but not unhittable. Saving throws. Skills, deception is plus 10. Oh, look at the charisma here. Yeah. Oh, this was charisma's 15. So they are more charismatic than the doppelgangers, but 18, that's very charismatic. Plus 10 to deception. Oh no, plus 10 arcana. Deception is plus 8. History is plus 10. Nature plus 10. Perception plus 5. Religion plus 10. So definitely the Swift family will have the religion. Immunities to being blind, charmed, which is very important because I want to see that. Yeah, one of the reasons why I'm gravitating, or I think this is the right move, is one of my players has the staff of, I don't know, charming the hell out of people. So once in a while, it's not. I like for her to be able to use it and be successful with doing that, but I don't want it to be, determined every situation when she gets to charm the hell out of people. So both the Oblex and the doppelgangers are immune to charm. Deafened, exhaustion, okay. They have blind sight. Passive perception is 15. Okay. Amorphous, the obelisk can move through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide without squeezing. Okay. Aversion to fire. If the obelisk takes fire damage, it has disadvantage on attack rolls. Okay, so this could be a good thing. Fire. Oh, that works. Unusual nature. The obelisk doesn't require sleep. Okay, actions. The Elder Oblex has multi-attack, 2 pseudopod attacks, and it uses Eat Memories. Pseudopod is at plus 7 to hit, reach of 10 feet, 17 damage and bludgeoning, 14 of psychic damage. Okay, so that's 20, 30, 31 bits of damage. So that may be too much for level 5 players, or they just may have to stand back more than 10 feet. The Eat Memories. The obelisk targets one creature can see within 5 feet of it, so you have to be close. The target must succeed on DC 18 wisdom throw. They've been doing very good on their wisdom throws, but 18 is very high. Or take 44 psychic damage and become memory drained until it finishes a short or long rest until it benefits from a greater restoration in their heal spell. When memory is drained, the target must roll a d4 and subtract the number rolled from its ability checks and attack rolls each time the target is memory drained beyond the first. The die size increases by 1, so d4 becomes d6, d6 becomes d8, and so on. Blah, 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 blah. The obelisk learns all the languages in memory drain target and knows and gains all its proficiencies. Okay. Spell casting. The obelisk casts one of the following spells. No components. Spell save DC is 18. Very, very hard. You can charm person. 5th level spell. Detect thoughts. 3 times a day each. Dimension door. In and out. Dominate person. Hypnotic pattern. Okay. Bonus action. Sulfurous impersonation. The obelisk extrudes a piece of itself that assumes the appearance of one medium or small creature whose memories it has stolen. This simulacrum appears, feels, and sounds exactly like the creature it impersonates, though it smells faintly of sulfur. The obelisk can impersonate 2d6 plus 1 different creatures, each. Okay. Wow, so it could really be the whole family, right? Each one tethered to the body. And here's the catch: different creatures, each one tethered to its body by a strand of slime that can extend up to 120 feet away, which is not that far. Simulacrum is an extension of the obelisk, meaning that the obelisk occupies its space in the simulacrum space simultaneously. What is this? Oh, the Elder Oblex is huge, so it's very big. The tether is immune to damage, but it is severed if there is no opening at least 1 inch wide between the oblex and the simulacrum. The simulacrum disappears if the tether is shut. Okay, so basically my thought was there'll be a basement with floorboards and these tethers will come up and then the oblex. Now let's see. So the adult one might be better just because it's CR5, which is probably more important because we got, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we got 5 in the. Family 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we got 5 in the family. So that's 5 level or CR3. Okay. So saving throws plus 7. Intelligence, charisma plus 5. Also immune to charmed. Language. Okay. Okay. So this is all the same. Actions. It also has multi-attacks. Makes 2 pseudo attacks, and it uses memories. So let's see. So the pseudopod attack is a little bit less hard hitting. This one's 17. This one's 11. 7 psychic instead of 14. So that's better. You still get all the actions. Gets the eat memories. Again, just lower. And same. So I'm going to use the adult because it's in this one medium ooze instead of a huge ooze. So I think I'll do that one just to. And again, in the midst of things, maybe I'll switch it up. So that'll be the boss. And then our doppelgangers are going to be the Swift family. So basically, there needs to be a cover story, right? Like, why are the doppelganger and the Oblex teaming up together? Why were they working with the Cult of the Dragon? Well, they're evil. Now, these are typically lawful evil. Okay. So the Oblex has partnered up with this team of doppelgangers. Doppelgangers are supernatural beings with the ability to shapeshift into any human-like form. Their mind-reading abilities aid them in creating their perfect disguises and plucking secrets from unguarded minds. Now, one of my players is also a changeling, so I think this will be interesting when he encounters some of these things. Occasionally, doppelgangers use their shapeshifting ability in more overt ways, transforming into unsettling forms to frighten foes. A doppelganger's agenda might relate to its mysterious magical origin. Okay, so these guys, AC 14, AC on the adult Oblex was also 14. Very, very doable. Very doable. They're hitting 14 regularly. That makes me want to do the old Oblex. I don't know, but it hits so hard. Deception plus 6, insight plus 3, immunities to charmed, dark vision, languages, multi-attack. Doppelganger makes 2 slam attacks and uses unsettling visage if available. Slam, that's a plus 6 with advantage during the first round of each combat. Reaches 5 feet. A hit is 11 damage of bludgeoning, so that's fine. Tough, but fine. Read thoughts. You can cast detect thoughts with no components. DC 12, which is sort of low. Unsettling Visage with Recharge 6. Wisdom save, and again, there's going to be a few of them, so even if they could only do it once, they're still going to be able to do it. Wisdom saving throw again, the DC is 12. Each creature in a 15-foot emanation originating from the doppelganger that can see the doppelganger failure. The target has a frightened condition and repeats the save at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on herself on success after 1 minute. Okay. Alright, so they're just scary. Bonus action, the doppelganger shapeshifts into a medium or small humanid, or it returns to its true form. Its game statistics, other than the size, are the same in each form. Any equipment it is wearing or carrying isn't transformed. Okay, so relatively straightforward. They could shapeshift. They could shapeshift a lot. So here's what I'm thinking. They're running an orphanage, right? And I'll make the Oblex an old woman, right? One of the tendrils is creating an old woman, and she has this orphanage exists. And so let's go to the notes. Why don't we go to before I start spitballing? Let's go to the notes. Let's build off what I've already written to see if it was any good, and to see, do I want to run it that way or do I want to run it a different way? Okay, so I called it the night raid because basically the cultists get in with the players and say, let's do this night raid, before we have to ship off again. A couple of cultists who were saved in the Troll Claws encounter attempt to enlist player characters to do a night adventure as the caravan stops in some mechanical logistical impasse. Or just for the night, I think. Professor Jumcar Cleaver is wanted. Now, see, this is before I figured out that I wanted to make it the Swift family. So everything will be turned into the Swift family. Professor Jumcar Cleaverkian is wanted by the cult. They have reason to believe that he and his associates are located in a small farmhouse, right? So our small farmhouse will be a orphanage. A few miles from tonight's caravan encampment. He is the former cult member. Actually, he was a member of the cult until Severin, the current leader of the cult, and his new teachings took over. The cultists don't like his blasphemy. They fear his ability to expose the cult's secrets, especially about Severin's history. Now, see, Severin in my campaign is not who he is in the book. He's somebody different, pretending to be Severin, who wasn't a person. So again, there's a mystery that Severin doesn't want to come out on that. And they think it would be fun to slaughter such an optimistic phony, Ted Lasso-like. The professor seems to be hiding from his cult, fearing for his and his associates' lives. Caravan cultists refer to the professor associate as part of the raid, but they believe he is with his wife and twin children. So again, you can see how I could turn this professor thing into this known quantity. And again, I think this is really powerful because this was the first group that they saved, okay? So they have this memory of this, like, oh, yes, I do remember them. And then, and this was like a couple of weeks ago, they started to see these posters. So they're like, oh, yeah, so it's back in their minds. Those, yeah, I remember. So I had during this process, the players remembered who these people were, and some of them were more hazy on the others, and they're like, oh yeah. So these are on the player's mind, even though they've been, a few months ago now. And again, there's a strength in that tie, right? You have a connection to these people, you think, and it makes it a more effective reveal, right? All right. So a lot of that has changed, but it basically fits. The family is a sham. All four are doppelgangers who are true blue, old school Cult of the Dragon members who are secretly attempting to turn a young silver dragon into a Dracolich. So now, if I do the orphanage thing, they're running the orphanage because they then could sell the children off as slaves, right? Child slavery to the nefarious slavers of Skullport, which is the port, maritime port that is literally underneath Waterdeep in the Underdark, but it has like a coastal connection. So I know it's cliche, but I love putting, children in danger in D&D. Okay, so there is a nearby sacrificial. Oh, here we go. There is a nearby sacrificial chamber. Nearby. The brutalist sculpture, deceased mother with deceased child. There is a secret door in its toe. It leads down. Okay, so there's some sort of, terrible statue that is, the right thing. It opens up and it's a secret entrance. There is a secret door in its toe. It leads down to a sandstone paved underground chamber. The bloodletting from willing sacrifice is a horror show of slave labor. Okay, so here's some slave labor. Bloody tubes and trolleys twisted among each other as they prepare to go to sacrifice the silver youth. So this is basically was meant to be some sort of vile ritual to turn this silver dragon unwillingly into a Dracolich. To sacrifice the silver youth, she is at center, disabled and placid. Charm magic is thick. Illusions dominate this place. Despair, violence, dehumanization is the fog of this space. Players have seen cult wanted posters for the professor, right? So the other way, when two suspected cultists incite you to their wagon, mentioning the side mission you had seen before on the posters, they know where the guy is. He is close. These folks saw what PCs did in the Troll Claws, and they want genuinely thankful and broach the idea to join a certain club. If they go to the farmhouse and kill Professor and his associates. All right, one more little page here. Richard friend. Okay, so I just get into the who the cultists, the personality of the cultists that are doing this. Richard and Dick. There's the joke there. Okay, so again, let's think this out, right? Because if the players just don't want to do it, then then they'll go do something else. And I have like a stag hunt or something. It's in the book. It's sort of boring, but that'll be sort of my backup thing if they're like, no. But I think that they'll want to save the family and then go along with the cultists in some way. Okay, but what do they find? What do the players find when they find the orphanage, right? They find the Swift family. Oh, here, let's write this. What party finds at orphanage? Okay, let's see. So the Oblex I want to be apart because, again, I want the Oblex to be underneath, right, the body of the Oblex, and so its tendrils are coming up through the floorboards. So the Oblex in basement of separate building. Let's see, creates image of old lady in wheelchair. And I want her to be in a wheelchair because, again, the Oblex's creatures, from their tentacles can only do 120 feet. So I put her in a wheelchair and she's going to be pretty much stable, right? Okay. She was the mistress of orphanage, but she is dead now, replaced by Oblex. Okay. So that is like a freestanding, put her in that's at the farmhouse. Then we go into bunk house. Family quarters for doppelgangers. So there's family quarters, and then there's a large room with rows and rows of triple bunk beds. A lot of children. Lots of kids. Okay, so let's say the kids. Let's have the kids making shoes, right? A small leather works is between bunk house and farmhouse, right? So the Oblex can go there too. Kids work to pay orphanages costs, right? Child labor. Oh, you can do child labor. Well, we don't get money. There's no charity here, so we're just trying to keep kids okay. They learn a trade, leatherworking. Okay. Now, I did have an earlier thing where we had another interaction where some folks were secretly making flesh golems, and the flesh golems were being sent up to Waterdeep to basically guard all of the illicit activities that the nobility of Waterdeep were up to make the extra monies. A lot of that through Sculptport, and so um, the nefarious activities needed guards that aren't going to ask too many questions and that will obey. And so there were flesh columns. And so this other group was kidnapping people and cutting them up and making them into flesh columns. Do we want to do flesh columns again? I don't know. The one reason I might do flesh columns again is because when the players finally do get to Waterdeep, at some point, they're going to have quite a flesh golem interaction. And that sort of would be fun. Like, so what are they using the kids for, right? Like, you could use the kids for slave labor. I mean, they're basically, they're making these shoes and stuff, and they are making the shoes and they're selling the shoes, but, that's a cover story, right? What are they doing with the children? Okay, that's a good question. What are they doing with the children? Parts for flesh golems? And again, part of this is I want to make this a world of gray, right? Like, yes, the Cult of the Dragon is trying to team up with chromatic dragons. Yeah, it's very possible that the cult of the dragon may be trying to free Tiamat from her prison in the Nine Hells and, release that and, destruction upon humankind. That could also be happening. So they're not good guys. Let's put the Tiamat thing aside. Even if they want to allow chromatic dragons to lead Faerun, I mean, chromatic dragons are not people friendly. So this, um, this would not be a good outcome for the supporters of the Cult of the Dragon, right? That people would burn and freeze and be electrocuted. But again, there's magic involved, and the populace are being made magically, and have more mechanisms to do this. To basically say their heart's desires will happen. They have control of their destiny. They will be princes and rich nobles and fat, plump merchants. But part of that needs the cult of the dragon needs to succeed. So they're so intoxicated with what their lives will be, according to the magic that's influencing them, that they overlook the fact that letting chromatic dragons or Tiamat rule the world would be very bad for humans and dwarves and elves and halflings and all that. But the Waterdavians, nobility, are very corrupt, old money, and they do illegal stuff because some of those families, those old money families, don't have so much money anymore, but they have a lot of expenses. And so they dip into the illegal trades to prop up their families and maintain their titles. And again, this flesh column thing is just like, yeah, you get some heavies in there and you protect your shit, and the columns aren't going to give you up if they get nabbed or destroyed or whatever it is. So I think we could do, some body horror, kids being made into deformed flesh golems with, right, sentient like bodies and legs. So this is a real sophisticated operation where they're mixing and matching the children's parts. And when, they get the new kids in, the ones that make the shoes good, great. The ones that don't. And then when they need more, they just need more. I like that. Terrific. It ups the ante, right? Because the other one was just normal flesh columns. They weren't making a lot. This, they basically have an assembly line. And so, let's see. So we got the farmhouse, we got the bunkhouse. Family quarters is part of the bunkhouse. The leatherworks. The leather works factory has a statue of, what was this? I'm going to make deceased mother holding living child. Statue of a deceased mother holding a live child, right? That's true, the theme. It's the orphanage of the parents' wishes, the mother's dream orphanage. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, something, upbeat like that. That ties into Parents Dead Orphanage's second chance, right? But I can come up with that later. So, okay, so there's this thing, toe, knob, twist. Oh, no, toe, puzzle, unlocks, statue, opening, stairway, down, underground. And so obviously once you get down there, body, horror, tubes, fluids, charmed kids, cutting up other kids. And so you'll have to be attacked by the children, non-lethal, harm them, whatever. I'll give some sort of place to hide them. And then the doppelganger, the Obelix, could make the woman in the wheelchair appear. What's going on? Of course, she'll pretend she had no idea. I've been stuck in the other house. I trusted this family to keep the orphanage going, and I can't believe that they're doing that. Maybe the party will fall for it, and we'll get the authorities here and reestablish the thing, or maybe they all have to die. So, yeah. So when the players get here, they will, meet with the Swift family and say, up, and they're like, oh, wow, thank you. And, maybe there'll be a cult element. Maybe they'll be sneaking in the door. they'll pretend, of course, to be innocent. And why is my face so dark? I don't know. Oh, was that better or worse? I don't know. Anyway, we're almost done here. And so, yeah, will they just warn them? Oh, we can't leave. We're helping all of these children. We've been running and running, and we finally found a home. We have to, the cultists that know where we are, they should be killed. And so maybe the cultists get killed, and then these guys go, and maybe the clues. I learned this from Lazy Dungeon Master, Sly Flourish. What's his name? Secrets and clues. Okay, so we know what the secrets are, right? All this, disgusting uh, factory of flesh. Clues: sulfur, smell, um, creaky floorboards. What about the doppelgangers? What would be a clue that the doppelgangers are doppelgangers? These are important things, right? These are the things that your players have to pick up on in order to find out what's going on, right? So the statue, right, could be something. They could find the code for dead mom statue door, right? Let's see, 2 sets of books, 1 on shoes and leather goods. Where do they get the leather, right? Other on let's see. So if you made leather goods, you would ship them out, right, to sell them. But the leather goods sold in Baldur's Gate, which isn't too far. Golems. What would the golems be? How do we get a sense that there's golems? I will need to do some more. I need more clues, but that's fine. Those are the things that you could think about while you're doing other things and figure out how to enough secrets and again clues to lead them to children, right? Children are missing according to kids who never see adults adopt adopting kids, right? And where do the kids go? Oh, they get adopted. Yes, they come and they meet with us here and we adopt them. Kids never see that. Now the kids in the bunkhouse don't know. The kids in the bunkhouse are doing the leather stuff, right? It's when the troublemakers, the sick, the injured, those are the ones sort of that go downstairs. They threaten us to go, and they point at the statue. Bad kids threatened by Swift, who points at statue and says, "Is that what you want?" Or some other sort of reference of, do you want to be, but it doesn't really make sense. You either want to be like a live kid with a dead mother. Well, our parents are already killed. So that doesn't make sense. What Swift is referring to is you want to go downstairs. So that's in the leather goods. Know that? That's in the bunkhouse. But the bunkhouse statue goes down underground, leads back underneath the leather goods store. That's where the House of Horrors is. And again, that's going to be close enough to the Obelix where the Obelix could come in and keep an eye on him as this old woman in this wheelchair. Yet, of course, there's no wheelchair accessible way for her to get down there. So I think these, Life flourishes 8 secrets include we have sulfur smell, creaky floorboards, which I'll say 1, 2, find the code, 3, the 2 sets of books that are strange, 4, the missing children, 5, the threatening. So I need some more of that, but I think that's a good solid start. And and then the doppelgangers, of course, can hide amongst the children, right? And even become the players if they separate, right? Because they'll probably want to separate them. Here, why don't you go look at the bunkhouse and you look at the leather goods store? And again, the cultists. Now, why do the cultists not like these guys? Why were they? Let's see. Why do the cultists hate these guys? So the doppelgangers. The cultists don't know they're doppelgangers. The cultists hate the Swift family because they took their children. Okay, right? That's good. Cultists hate Swifts because they kidnapped many cult kids. Where are they? Right? Okay, so they weren't cultists. Maybe they were working with the cultists. Maybe they were doing some sort of deal with the cultists. But that was a ruse to steal their children. Of course, they stole their children because they're in this terrible cult and blah, 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 blah. We take them to the orphanage. The orphanage, we make them into flesh golems, really vile flesh golems. Sell them in, oh my God. Sell them in Waterdeep for a bucket load of money. Obelix is happy. Doppelgangers are happy. Cult not happy. How's this going to go? I'm happy with it. And so what this can do, potentially, is cement the bond between the cultists and the players. So they are in like Flynn. And by the time they finish their journey, they're going to know more information and will make their travels a little bit easier, less covert. But what they will face later on will be what the party will face later on as they get past Waterdeep is that they might have to break with the cult because they might want to side with another group of people that are being subjugated by the cult. So I want to bring them in and then see if they, how dearly will they, how far will they go to maintain that relationship with the cult without giving up their souls. So I think that's where we're going to end it. Let's see, today is Monday, so we have a few more days to flesh this out, right? And I think we made some good progress here. Referred to the notes, updated it right with something that has an emotional resonance. We got some good monsters over here. It'll play off the changeling that we have. The Obelix will be like, oh, that's not a doppelganger. That's something else. And maybe they will even face the Obelix itself. So that'll be interesting. And that could be fun. And perhaps deadly. So and maybe I will make it the old, ancient or old Obelix. That would be fun. All right. Good night. May all of your rolls be 20s, natural 20s. And I look forward. I'm trying to stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings, 9-10 p.m., at least for an hour, and talk about Tyranny of Dragons, what I'm doing to it, what am I changing to it. I come back and say what's working, what isn't working from the plan. We do a lot of crafting here, as you might tell. Like we create this guy. We made all the wagons that I'm using in the campaign. We got all sorts of stuff that we're making. So sort of a potpourri of sort of theater of the mind, tangible objects, handouts and posters and things, ways to make NPCs come to life and be memorable, which so I think is